All right, cool. Let's get it started. So, hey everybody, this is Erasmus with SoCal GG, and we've got a little interview together for the Summer Smackdown 2023. And I pulled together, let's see who we got right now. We got Maps and Marchallmo in our first group, and we're gonna have a second group as well for the interview. So I've got some questions that I'm just going to toss out there, and they might have some questions too. And it's kind of open ended, but I wanted to keep it to, you know, not being like 2 hours long or however naturally long we want to talk about Dominions. So, yep. If you guys want to say hi or something, feel free.
Hey, this is Maps. I'll be playing late age Vettiheim in the qualifier.
Hello. I'll be playing middle age Ind in the qualifier as well.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. We got Vettiheim and Ind. I'm an EA. I'm playing Baratos, and in the background, I've just pulled up some test game just in case some conversation comes up. I could hop in and look at the other nations too if we're exploring some of those. So that's kind of cool. So we got Vettiheim and we've got Ind, and Vettiheim. I personally think when I saw the pod, I was like, ooh, Maps playing Vettiheim is going to be pretty tough. At least from what I'm seeing in the rest of the pods, a lot of the other nations seem kind of like not as scary. I could pull up the list really quick too.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that assessment. That was sort of my first take. It was like, oh, I got Vettiheim. Oh, that's my pod. Okay, cool. I think there are some other really strong nations in the pod. Raga can be rough. Pan is excellent, but no Utgard is fantastic, especially for this format, which is probably going to incentivize a little bit more early aggression than we might often see in late age.
Yeah, I think well, what I was surprised with was there was no Riley and no Lemuria.
Don't worry, there is really in middle age.
Yeah, so that was kind of bizarre, especially like I'm seeing like we've got Patala in there, we've got Agartha in there as well. Some of those were like really, even though it scored as like a 2, I thought they could have been even lower. Like some people might.
Yes, I didn't go back and look, but is that because of tiebreakers where too many people selected those other nations, and these were the tiebreak second selections?
No, I think Agartha was Yoshi's primary pick.
Well, that'll be an interesting one for the next round of questions. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I know. I was pretty curious about that too. So I actually just got to see the map rolls the other day for LA and MA as well, and I think LA, you're in a pretty good position. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. Do you think people are going to like aggro you because of all the talk of Vettiheim being like higher tier, that sort of stuff, or them knowing maybe you're a more experienced player as well?
I mean, it's possible, and that's certainly a consideration I'm going to have to take into account during pretender design, right? This is 5 thrones with 11 people. That can happen pretty quick. And late age isn't maybe the best age for awake Hellblast rushes or something like that, although Raja can certainly pull it off. So, part of the philosophy I'm taking into this is making sure that I have enough power at the end of the first year to be able to hold off a 2 or 3 person attack and claim at least 2 thrones, right? Because that's kind of the like, well, if someone else gets a 5 throne rush, at least I'm going to get through.
Do you think you're going to be rushing anybody?
Depends. I've been testing a few hyper-aggressive Vetty builds, and I think I give up a little bit too much if it does go on to like turn 20, turn 30 relative to some other nations. If I draw an Utgard, I was going to try to win the game by about turn 16 to 18. But with Vedi,
16, 18? Oh, dang.
yeah, it's doable. Or 20 anyway. But with Vedi, we'll see who my neighbors are. If one of them takes cold 3, well, that's probably a mistake.
Oh, sorry. When you said 16, 18, you meant rushing, not trying to win the game via thrones. Okay.
No, I meant that.
You meant winning 16, 18? Wow.
It's possible. He can, with a good bless, he can do it. But it also means
Yeah.
like all of his neighbors kind of have to fail.
Dang, yeah, that would be crazy. I heard like some pan tried rushing in a tournament qualifier recently and rushed like crazy early. But yeah,
They almost won the game on turn 20 with a 6 throne requirement.
Like late age pen?
I don't remember the age.
Which one?
I think
early
it
age.
was early or MA. I can't remember. It definitely was not LA because they were talking about White Centaur.
Oh, no, those guys can definitely win by turn 20.
Yeah.
Pangea is just a really strong nation out of the door.
Damn, what's the earliest win you guys have seen in like a 10-player lobby?
I think like turn 30 or 40, I'm not sure. For me.
Yeah, late 20s maybe.
Got it. Yeah, I think for me, like early 30s, late 20s sounds a bit right. So, yeah, if I saw something winning before turn 20, that'd be a record breaker for me. All right, so let's hop over to Marchallmo. So, how do you think you're gonna handle? And this is kind of a hot topic right now, so I figure may as well bring it up. How are you going to handle naps in a tournament setting? And do the rules make you kind of change how you're going to handle that, or are you going to approach it in a different way because it's a tournament versus a regular game?
I usually uphold my naps unless like the person I'm going to break the nap with is at the risk of just winning the game. So I don't think I'll change my approach to them now. I'll mostly be trustworthy because I kind of have to be as Ind. If people just figure out that they can just dogpile me, I'm dead.
Yeah, I think Ind, a lot of eyes are on you playing Ind right now. No pressure or anything, but I know a lot of people have high hopes for getting to see a good performance out of Ind. Every time I see them in like a serious game, it kind of is like a little circus. Like everybody wants to see them do a good performance, but whether the clowns make it out alive from like the lion taming show is another question.
I am definitely the clown there, yeah. Well, I think with the roster we have, I have a chance as long as I don't like spawn next to or something. Just hard counters me. There's very little I can do. But I did some testing and I have a strategy that might let me leave, but it's gonna come down to the wire really. India's just not a nation that has a lot of room for error.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Although interesting, Ulm is a problem in particular for Ind.
Because of their guardians, they have the area effect 1 secondary on the black halberds that gives armor negating fatigue damage to sacreds. So basically, they'll just eat through my front line.
Okay, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Without sacreds, I don't really have a good front line. Just no units in my nation are that amazing at holding, because there is no unit that has like really high protection. The highest, I think, the highest defense skill is 17 on the little gnome units that I can get, but there is no guarantee that I can actually get them because they are like random. Even if I build it in a province with planes where I can get them from, there is no guarantee that I'll actually get them because they might just on the planes I can also get the Femini, so that's probably the worst one to get because the only good stuff on that would make it.
What
I'll
are
actually
you
pick on
thinking
easy.
of running for a bless on Ind? If you don't mind explaining a little bit.
Well, no, I don't. I already tested it. I can just give you like a screenshot or share the screen if you want me.
Oh yeah, sure.
Alright, I'll share the screen. Tell me if it's gone, if it's able to see.
Okay, just give me a ping. Hey, there we go. Okay.
You can see it.
Oh yeah. All right. So, oh, solar weapons. Interesting.
I was thinking about just picking magic weapons because that's usually the most applicable bless. But in the roster we have, there's no one that can really like will go for either body ethereal or body ethereal is basically the reason to pick magic weapons. But there is no Bandar Log. There is no one really who has really cheap astral ones. So at that I'll see much of that. And solar weapons will help me with expansion by just being extra damage. And if I stack next to armor, I can rush them.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. All right. So you've got a decent amount of res in there. You're going fire res 5 because you
That's
want.
because we have a beast here. And also a lot of fire nations. So I just want to have something to deal with the fatigue.
Got it. And then your
And I
extra
think,
point went into solar weapons.
yeah, I think that it also doesn't show here, but I have Spirit Sight. I'm not sure why it doesn't show here. I'm gonna be rushing like Alteration 5 for all of my stuff to come together. I think the worst thing that can happen is someone just figures out that they can do fire elementals and there is very little I can do. Because without magic weapons, I might just switch it back just because of that, actually. But I'm not sure. I didn't test it enough. I'm not sure if solar weapons is actually that important.
Got it. So you're gonna go for alt 5. I accidentally just pulled up a game that I have my debug mod on with. But which kind of big spells you thinking in alt 5 that are gonna really change up your game?
Oh, well, for one, it's gonna be Wooden Warriors because that will allow me to like boost my defense of my Soldier Priest to 20 protection. I mean, and also Solar Eclipse, which is just gonna be amazing for me because basically everyone who fights me gets -3 to attack, defense, and precision, while I get no penalty because I have Spirit Sight.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah, on my screen, my guys have Spirit Sight.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Solar Eclipse is a pretty fun one that's easy to forget about.
I think early on, this will give me a big edge, but I'm not sure. Pretty sure if I can get it pretty fast, by like turn 15 or something, if I'm really lucky, I will be able to win my first war pretty handily. But with Ind, a lot of it comes down to just reacting to how things go, because there is just Ind doesn't have any front loaded like strength for anything. Everything is just all over the place. But there
Yeah,
is one
I think it
strategy that
definitely got a reputation for that, and that's for sure.
there is one strategy that I have tested, and it's gonna show it on my screen.
Got it. I'm pulling up your screen right now.
Yep. Well, I've been testing Bishop Vincontes and Viceroy Primates to see how many of the cannibals I can get. Cannibals are usually pretty bad. They have very low protection, but have decent skills and above average HP. But low protection means that they just usually die pretty fast. And going berserk means losing defense skill, so they don't dodge and aren't protected from any hits. But there is one thing that they are pretty decent at is that you can get a lot of them pretty much out of the blue. And I tested how much with just in 3 turns of sending like 10 of these guys, Bishop and Contis, which are 100 gold, 115 gold, and 2 commander points. So I just get them pretty fast. And I don't need 10, I need like 6 or 7. And I get like 100 units. And there is one thing that probably, because it never really shows up when you fight int, but these like cannibals have variations depending on what province type you're picking them from. So, for example, Cannibal Warriors is the default, you can get it from anywhere. But in plains and mountains, you can get horsemen, which are actually also pretty decent. And they don't berserk. And then you also get some archers, which are Azanak. These are also pretty bad, but you get a lot of them. And if I go like up to Thaumaturgy 4, I can make them berserk to just go into melee. And then they have 2 attacks that hit pretty often and hit pretty hard. But there is one specific that I want to get, and it is these guys. These guys only show up in forests, and they are probably going to be one of the best units for me early on, at least, if I can get them enough pretty fast. These guys hit really hard. They go berserk 3, so this is going to be like 19, and they will also hit very often. But another thing is I can also buff them with Strength of the Earth. So these guys will actually just cleave through a lot of people. The biggest problem is that I don't get enough of them. Like in 3 turns, I got 100. I'll just show you, I guess. Yeah, like this 87 units that are just like normal cannibals and archers, and 30 of these guys. And these guys are elite. These are actually an elite unit in my opinion.
Wait, you said you got that in just 3 turns?
Yeah, this is in 3 turns.
Wow.
But yeah, I did some testing, and technically, these guys also in 3 turns they get, well, not including these guys. So -8 and minus 13. It's going to be 86 units in 3 turns with just 5 Viceroy Primaries. But the problem with using them is that they have 4 commander point cost, recruitment point. Yeah, I'm not sure I can really afford to wait that much. And also, if I get them, I want to use them as like smite spammers. I don't really want them to stay. While these guys cost less, they are also pretty good as commanders. But there is nothing else they do besides just getting more of the cannibals. But the one thing that they also have is that I get them like twice as many as the Viceroy Primates. So I think early on my strategy will be to just recruit them as many as you can, use them as sparingly as generals, and then just stack them into like a forest province or 2 in like packs of 6 to 8, and just wait for like 3 to 4 turns, and I'll get an army out of that.
That's pretty cool. I don't think I've seen Ind get to heavily leverage cannibals the way you're showing right now, let alone in a pretty tough game. Maps, have you seen something like this before with Ind?
I have never played Ind or against Ind, so no, I haven't. But I'm really excited to see what you do with it, Marchallmo. Ind's fascinating. Are you? When are you thinking of transitioning to Blood?
Oh, I think I will transition into Blood. I'm not sure, because every nation transitions into Blood differently. And in my case, I don't really have like assassins that I can recruit anywhere. I don't have any national summons except, this. Age 10 years. Okay. I only have level 9 national summon. You can see it on my screen right now.
Yeah, no. That...
And there is no way I'm getting to this unless we get to like turn 8 or something. I'm just never getting that. But there is one thing that I did that I think is actually really good. And that's going to... Oh, shit, where is it? Bind Fiend. It was... Bind Fiend, yeah. Level 2. I think I'm going to go to Blood. I'm going to go to Blood 2. I go to get Bind Fiend, and if you just notice here, Cannibal Shamans have really good randoms, and one of them is Blood 2. All of the Cannibal Shamans that get Blood 2 are either going to be early on Blood Hunting, and then just going to be forever spamming Bind Fiend. Bind Fiend is also going to be like a really elite unit for me, but I doubt I will go much higher until like really late game to like get vampires, I guess. But there is nothing else really there for me because I get Every path except air. Every path in the game I can get in like some amounts, except air, which Int just doesn't have any air.
Got it. So
The
doing a
only way
pretty
to
blood
fix,
light strategy on the Bind Fiend summons, maybe some items, that kind of stuff.
yeah, it's gonna be either summons or items, and also if I need to like protect myself from a rush, then it'll be summon names, which is like the what you actually usually want to do with blood mages early, because blood mages aren't really good in combat for anything other than this or really late game buffs.
Well, nice. That's pretty cool. I think fiends could definitely help fill in the roster. I don't know how many fiends you'll get with the random roll cannibals, but it should help at least get you some more flyers. Does Ind also have like some winged monkeys thing or something like that?
Oh no, it doesn't have any natural flyers. No, I mean except like I guess with Conjuration 4 Malak, which is a flying H1 priest. And if you saw earlier, I took undead leadership, which means I can fare around my demons pretty easily. I
Gotcha.
did this. Yeah, I did this because like earlier, like I had a game as a Saint early on when I actually did the Fiend strategy. And Fiends of Darkness are really good. They're actually like one of my favorite units in the game. But the problem for me was actually getting them where I want was pretty difficult because you need undead leadership, and In doesn't have any undead unit that can actually move large distances, except Malaks now for me.
Do they have were there cannibals random roll death?
Yes, they can. I can get like cheaper, which is like Mount King, but if I need to reinforce, well, the best fairies are going to be Mount King and the Malak, but.
Gotcha.
The guys can run them Astral. Astral ones I'll be using for point buffs, so body ethereal. Death ones I think gonna be the researching or like blood fountain. I don't like researching these guys because they just fuck up every province they're in. Nature ones are also gonna be in fights because I think this is one actually probably the one of the better ones. Astral and nature are gonna be the best ones for fighting. Blood and death not so much, but they have different uses.
Well, nice. I think this is going to be really cool to watch in a tournament setting. I think the how late does it or how long does it take you to get the cannibals up and running?
If early on no one like immediately charges at me, and I can get a few temples going, I'll probably have one or two temples outside my capital, and then another one in the first fort I'm gonna pick it up. I think by I didn't test it yet, but by turn 12, I should be able to have like 3 to 4 bishop in contests if I'm going pretty fast about it. And then after that, I can pretty easily get 8. And with that, I can just send them into one province where they will spend like 3 turns. So by turn 17, I should have like 100 cannibals pretty easily. The problem with that is these guys don't reduce unrest pretty fast. They reduce it by 1. While the cannibals themselves increase it by 0.2. But also, as I checked today, that's not the only thing that increases unrest. Because of the way that Lord over Heathen Tribes works, it's actually just gather slaves, but under different makeup. Because of
Hmm.
that, every time you summon those to that camp, it will automatically add unrest by the amount that you got the units. So these guys, in the reason why in 3 turns they got to that high is because they can't really fight that much unrest being generated from both the cannibals passively and also from spawning the cannibals.
Oh, okay. So it's adding later in that same exact phase that you got them the unrest that they would have added.
Yeah, it basically double dips the unrest.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah,
You just
but
gotta
also
not have
if
it in
I
a good province, I guess. I don't know.
yeah, I'm gonna forest provinces are nice by that because they usually don't really have any like they are usually not good for like actually planting forts. And for me, while I would like a forest province, it has to be like a really good forest province for me to actually consider. The only thing for me there, because forest for in doesn't have any unique mages, but it has crossbows, and I'm not sure how much I want to use crossbows there. Because I can get the damage more reliably from other sources, even versus like high protection units. But if I find like a really good forest province, I'll be spamming crossbows the entire time.
Gotcha. Well, got any closing comments on what you're seeing here, Maps, or some other things with Vettiheim, or
Got a couple questions for you, if that's all right.
yeah, go ahead and toss them out.
So you're drawing Baratos, which is the traditional early age rush target in a stacked lobby. What's your approach to that?
Yep. So I'm kind of taking something that's a little bizarre. I don't know how much shit I'm gonna catch for it, but we'll see. I'm on Remorse turn. I could just show that I do a lot of testing before this. So what I'm going for early is I'm doing a little bit of research. You can see my scales up here in the upper left. So I've got Magic 3 going on. I'm going early into the these sages, or this Beritian priests. They're not the sages. And so I've got a little bit of blood there early on, and there's a few interesting spells that I've tested against these nations that can handle sacreds pretty well with early blood. And on top of that, I'm taking an anti-sacred rush bless. It's kind of really off the wall. It's off the wall even more so because Ubar's in the lobby, so I have to pay the bless tax. So this is what I'm looking at right here.
You're not showing your screen, so we can't really see.
Oh shoot! I wasn't showing it the whole time. One sec.
This man.
There
if
we
you
go.
show the screen and if it's unholy weapons, I'm gonna upload.
Okay, can you guys see my screen now?
No.
Oh shoot! Oh right, I have to share it. Okay.
There we go.
I can see it.
Cool.
Yep,
So what was going on is I was realizing I was recording my screen, but I wasn't sharing it. Okay. So
it's probably nice to talk about it anyway, in case anyone is listening to this as a podcast instead of watching it.
So this is the bless I'm running with.
Oh, charged bodies. I mean, this can work. I will be concerned with this though, because your sacreds aren't the best.
Yeah, so I found the sacreds are very defensively oriented. What the charged bodies let me do, and it's kind of maybe I'm getting a little too into what I can do with it, but it is good at popping glamour. I also realized that Ubar. Oh, well, that's interesting. It doesn't say Spirit Sight for me too.
Yeah, it seems like a bug. But yeah, every time there is Ubar, you have to take Magic Weapon Spirit Sight.
Yeah, so they got Spirit Sight. You can see it right there.
Yeah, I suggest you also go to. I'll check. There is the salt item on this construction 4. I suggest if like Uber survives the first year 0, you might want to get a few salts.
Ubar is they're actually my rush target.
It should be everyone's rush target.
I know it sounds kind of bizarre, but what I noticed is charged bodies. I think we hit 10 plus on the shock damage, but their genies only have shock res 5.
And their genies are not sacred, so they can't really fix that.
Exactly.
Yeah, this can
so
work.
They can't fix it at all, which means I could just throw these guys at them. And with Magic Weapon, Spirit Sight, and Charged Bodies, I think I'm going to roll them actually pretty quick.
The biggest problem for you will be that they're flying and they'll probably kill. So like you'll have to finagle your position. Basically, have to
Right. I'm gonna
predict
have
when
to
they're
blob
gonna
up a
attack.
little bit and then get some imps out there to do some flyer catching.
Yeah.
My biggest what's going on here, and the reason why I know there's a lot of blesses in here where people are gonna be like, ooh. But the reason why I went Blood Surge with charged bodies is because I realized that if you kill something with charged bodies, it actually procs Blood Surge.
That's
Oh
kind of
yeah,
a cool
that's
information.
So
anything that like radiuses the kill to you will trigger it. Even like if you kill someone with a spell, it will trigger Blood Surge.
So yeah, that's kind of neat. And then what happens is all these bonus stats you get, charged bodies, if it does shock them, it stuns them and their defense drops to 0.
Yeah, that's correct.
So then afterwards you could womp on them with this, but the really big reason why I also took this is getting the Sahir to just be unimaginably nasty.
Oh, sorry, you cut off for a second.
Oh, the a big reason why I've got that too is for the Sahir. With that kind of bless, Blood Surge gives them a pretty dang nice strength and attack boost on top of Berserk. And since I'm going into Blood, I'm going to be running Bloodlust on it, and it gets them to be swinging for 27 each hit. And with 3 attacks, that's a lot of damage they're going to dish out. And if you don't have shock resistance, I think the Sa'ir are just going to flatten someone.
The Seir are really good stickers, but the biggest problem with them for you, I think, will be that they have really bad protection. So,
yeah.
and also you don't get them fast enough. So until pretty high alteration, you're gonna be struggling to keeping them alive.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be an issue. I think overall Vanheim is going to give me the biggest run for my money. So they're
Oh yeah.
those lawnmower veneer are just really nasty.
Also, if they go for the defense stacking on the, well, I forgot the recruit anywhere like on mounted else those guys. If they stack defense on them, I don't think any unit you have has base and high enough base attack to actually hit them.
Yeah, it's gonna get rough. My backup plan for Veneer gets into some weird blood. I checked a few different spells and kind of how it returns, and surprisingly, Bloodburst actually did pretty well. So that's something early on that I could get pretty easy access to, and I could Sabbath up very early on my tanky sacreds to help take them out. So we'll see what happens there. I don't know.
What will your cap only stake is the brides in waiting? They cost a really long time. And when I played the Beritos, they were basically the bottleneck for me because you basically only have 2 really good mages, while the rest are just don't have high enough paths to do much. And both of you are really good mages cost a lot. Do
Yeah,
you think you'll be
having
able to
access to
do?
them's tough. I think
Uh,
I'm definitely going to be bottlenecked by them, but the priests are actually pretty decent. I know it sounds kind of funky. I plan on
hold on, hold
leveraging.
on.
Oh, sorry, what was that?
Yeah, Mog joined the chat, and I think he's in your like early age.
Oh,
Or
okay.
he was going to steal your secrets.
Trying to sneak in there.
Yeah, you were saying.
So the brides in waiting, yeah, they're absolutely going to be a bottleneck, but that I plan on treating them like they're made out of gold because you just don't get enough of them over time, and they're so useful having all these paths and access to magic phase. So I don't plan on deploying them very liberally. I'm going to be recruiting a ton of them, but I have really important jobs for these guys. They're going to be my Hell Power Communion leaders, so I could easily crank these other paths up extremely high. So we'll see how it goes with them. I'm a little bit worried by how much I could recruit them as well.
Yeah, that's been my biggest problem with this nation when I played. I played a few times. It's also why my favorite nation is favorite age is late age, because their like majors are way cheaper than here. There is no nation in LA that has this problem that Veritas has, where their best majors cost way too much, while every other mage except like Stormcaller and Biden Waiting are just barely usable in combat because their paths are just way too low.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure.
LA Statis is kind of like that. Super expensive, and other mages are rich.
Oh yeah, that's true. But like, I also keep forgetting the cities. Cities
Yeah,
are
and
just
they're
too
the worst.
sad to remember.
Yeah, and they're terrible. So, point for you.
I played as them, and like the nation just doesn't have anything except death. That's basically it. There's nothing else about them.
All right, you guys. So I'm gonna get the next pod started up for the interviews. I know this was our shorter pod, and we went on for a little while there. That's totally fine. I know I didn't have too much time to answer questions on my end. I figured they're gonna also ask questions in the longer chat pod. But yeah, thanks for being able to meet and do this interview. Hopefully, we're all gonna be the winners of the pods, right?
We're winners anyway.
Place in the top 4. I'd be elated if I could get a good showing for Baratos. That'd be awesome. But I have a feeling Veneer with shock resistance are just gonna happen to be my neighbor.
But it's a different win condition than normal, right? You just have to be in the top 4, which is like 6 points. So that could change the strategy for a lot of people. Be fun to see who goes through.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Should be kind of cool. All right, adios, you guys.
See ya.